Hey guys, Steve Washington here, and just wanted to touch base with you guys today on, I guess, real live, real action, what's going on right now. This morning, I had a chance to speak with my realtor on one of my Pennsylvania markets, and we were supposed to be closing on a property today, and we did our final walkthrough of the property. He walked it for me just to make sure everything was all good because we had actually a problem tenant situation. And so this was basically just a property we were purchasing from a landlord. A landlord had a tenant, wasn't paying, just a problem, just a pain, and they wanted to be done with the tenant. And so this particular tenant situation was just a little bit hairy. We didn't really like a lot of the details of the situation. So we said, look, we don't want to buy this place until this tenant situation is over with. We don't want to inherit it. Sometimes we'll inherit it, but we'll say, well, look, we don't want to inherit it at all. But we knew that the landlord probably wasn't going to get the tenant out on her own. And so we decided, hey, look, we will help you with the process. We'll get the eviction started. We'll have our property manager temporarily become your property manager so that you can get the tenant out through the eviction process, the whole nine. And so we went through the eviction process. We won in court. It's pretty cut and dry. And the way it works, at least in Pennsylvania, is they have a certain eviction timeline where it's like, hey, look, the judge awarded you possession, and then the tenant or occupant has to leave within a certain amount of time. If they don't leave within that amount of time, then you have to go back to the magistrate's office or the court, depending on what like area you're in, and you have to file. I forgot what it's called. I think it's a writ possession, basically, where the sheriff or the constable or whoever it is, the some police of some sort will come out and then forcibly remove the tenant. But these all have timelines attached to them. And the crazy part is that these professional, we call them professional tenants, they know the timeline. There it is really true that birds of a feather flock together. They say that you are the sum total, like as far as like your net worth, your knowledge, your wisdom, like you're the sum total of the five people that you associate with and hang out with. And so that can work in your favor when you're trying to elevate yourself to the next level of hanging out and associate yourself with higher net worth individuals. I'm not just speaking financially, but all the leads, mentally, spiritually, whatever. But that goes in the other direction as well. And so a lot of times, unfortunately, I find it to be overwhelmingly true that these tenants know these hacks, if you will, because they associate with other people who also have hacked the system. And so I say that to say, let's finish out where we are. So what we're gonna have. So we tried to do our final walkthrough. Tenants were still there, and they even said to our realtor, like, look, judge said, we have 10 or 11 more days. And my realtor's like, listen, you have 10, 11 more days, but that's when the sheriff comes to forcibly remove you. Like he told you to be out by today. And he's like, well, no, we got 10 more days before they remove us. So he said, all right. And, that's that. So we're just pushing closing back about a week and a half. And it's, it's not a good idea to do what they're doing, right? Because what happens is, and this is a shout out to all the deadbeat tenants out there, right? What happens is, so we've already won in court, so this is now public record, and any landlord kind of worth their grain of salt, who's has a nice property, who put some time, energy, effort into their property, is going to do a background check, and they're going to check and see if you have um, evictions on your credit. And then not only, depending on what type of report they pull, you can see the evictions, but then you can also see that, like in this case, these people even tried to contest that, you know what I mean, and stay longer. And it's just, so it's like, okay, in the end, they bought themselves maybe an extra, let's call it a total of like a month from start to finish of this process. Okay, you bought yourself an extra month, but how's that going to serve you in the future? Because now you're going to be blacklisted by a lot of, like, as far as a quality landlords are concerned, they're going to be like, no, I don't want to inherit somebody else, somebody who's going to be a hassle, somebody who's going to be a problem with me. So you want to have a limited pool of properties that you can buy from, rent from, and it's just not a good idea. And time after time, I have tenants who have applied to rent properties from me, and I see that on there, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is a problem, and they know it's coming because they've already heard it now from multiple landlords, or they just find themselves never getting approved for applications, and so they try to get in front of it, and they're like, oh well. This happened, that happened. It was really the landlord. Always some excuse, never them. And they can keep telling their stories, but they're going to have to wait for the next sucker, because most people will just um, not do the deal with them, not rent the property to them. And so, what does this have to do with us as a real estate investors? One, you got to know that this is, comes with the ball game sometime. But two, so after the situation is all said and done, right? And after the tenant's out, and after I now own the property, and now I'm, going to flip it, or I'm going to whatever it is that we decide to do with it, people will come to me and say, like, oh man, wow, you got such a great deal on this property. Oh, this was such a, man, you really scored on this one. Or, oh man, insert some kind of make it seem like I did some magic work, right? And the reality is that's what that's the only reason that we exist in this real estate investing business, is to, by and large, either inherit somebody else's drama, deal with somebody else's drama, help them solve some sort of a problem that they either can't or don't want to solve themselves. And that's the exchange that we have. We exchange, we'll deal with your drama in exchange for a discount on a property. And it's like, look, somebody's got to deal with the drama. Doesn't have to be me. They can deal with it, and whoever deals with it will reap the reward. So if the seller wants to deal with it, boom, you get it. You can sell it at the top of the market. If we want to deal with it, boom, you have to sell it to us at a discount, and then we'll sell it at the top of the market. And literally, this is the exact conversations that we have with the seller. Um, and so I say that to say, I remember years back, somebody was like challenging Kobe Bryant and challenging like his success and things like that. And he said something to the tune, don't quote me, but something to the tune of like, look, you weren't with me at the gym at 3 o'clock in the morning. When I was at the gym at 3 and 4 and 5 a.m., putting in the work, like you weren't there. And, the separator between the very successful investors and those who are just struggling or can't make it or can't whatever is the work is being put in. There's a lot of uh, like real estate gurus out here who are just trying to sell courses, right? And they realize that human nature says, we do want the path of least resistance. I do too. I assure you, if I didn't have to deal with this tenant drama and things, I would not. I would prefer not to. But that's the only real way that I can be in this business. That's the only real way that I can give value to a seller so that they can exchange, give me value of a discounted property. And so you have to be willing to put in the work. Again, if you don't, you cannot believe me, and that's okay. That's your right. Test it out. Maybe it'll work. If it does work, let me subscribe to your channel or whatever. But the reality of it is that I've never seen it happen before. The gurus, they'll put up, oh, magic lists. You just, mail to this list, call this list, market to this list, and then you'll just get all these magical deals. And I'm saying you can get deals, but you got to put in the work. You have to have some problem, some situation, something that you're solving. In this case, it's a bad tenant situation. In other cases, it's I've bought properties from people in divorce, two parties not talking to each other at all, where I had to be the middleman. I bought properties from people who parents and children not talking to each other, siblings not talking to each other, estate matters, property in physical disarray, disrepair. Property is having major code violations against it, and the property owner is basically in a war with the local township or the city or what have you. The business is all about solving problems, and the key is Do you know how to solve the problem? Are you skilled enough to solve the problem, and or can you figure it out? Because you don't want to just inherit somebody's problem for the sake of inheriting a problem. We avoided a property about a year ago where the property had a major structural issue in a basement, and I wasn't totally sure how to deal with that problem. And I wanted to take it on, and I liked the numbers, and I felt like I could probably make it work. But I say, you know what? Not today. I'll let somebody else deal with that. I'll let them take that one on. I'll jump on the next one. So that's the business in a nutshell. You want to make more money, just be willing to deal with more problems. You'll learn to reassess the problems, if you will. Like for the tenant, man, I'm sure this is a very bad day for them. For me, it's just another walk in the park. And this isn't me being some slim lord or something to that effect. Listen, it's just the way the world goes around. If you don't pay your rent, you can't stay. If I don't pay my rent, I can't stay. If I don't put gas in my car, I won't drive. It's just the reality of the world that we live in. If you want to move to, communist country or something like that, you're welcome to it, and you'll figure out, how that works out for you. So that's it. That's all I got to say. Feel free to post any comments, ask any questions. Of course, as always, like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.